Hey everyone! Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to ask a quick favor and see if any of you could help Nepal in the current COVID-19 crisis they're experiencing. A new strain of COVID is ravaging the country and many people are sadly losing their lives. Anything you can do to help is much appreciated, whether that be financially or through awareness. To learn more, visit covidconnectnp.org. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Namaste, friends! Welcome to part 3 of the Nepal Coexisting with Giants series. I'm your host, Brooke Mitchell-Norman, conservation biologist and globetrotter. In today's episode, I'm taking you with me to a very special place, Chitwan National Park in southeast Nepal. This area is world-renowned for its immense Asian Greater-One Horned Rhino population, in addition to a vast diversity of birds, mammals, reptiles, and endangered species like tigers and the gharial crocodile. As I'm sure you can imagine, living with such charismatic wildlife can be both a blessing and a curse. While tourists love to visit the area and spend millions of rupees each year experiencing everything nature has to offer, the local community has to manage all of the issues that arise when animals leave the jungle and enter their village. Luckily for nature and wildlife, they have conservationists on their side. Many people in the area love Chitwan's wildlife and have dedicated their lives to saving both the park and their fellow community members. Today, you are going to meet those incredible people as well. While I highly recommend listening to the episode from start to finish, I also want you to choose your own adventure, just like when we were kids. We hit many topics in today's show, and you're more than welcome to hop around and check out the parts that interest you. We kick it off with a bird conservationist that openly shares what's happening with birds in Chitwan. Next, we meet an expert wildlife researcher and a wildlife veterinarian that share the science behind what's going on with human-wildlife conflict in Nepal, especially tigers and elephants. Following, we meet the president of the Bagmara Community Forest and learn why their forest is one of the most famous in Nepal. After that, we meet the president of the community-based anti-poaching unit and hear why poaching is happening in the area and how they're combating it. Lastly, we meet the secretary of the Wildlife Victim Fund, a nonprofit dedicated to helping families that have been affected by wildlife conflict. Check out this episode's description to see when each section starts and hop around accordingly. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening so that you never miss a future episode. Also, please let me know if you're digging these conservation travel stories by hitting me up on Instagram at rewildology or emailing me at hello@rewildology.com. And now, onto my conversations in Chitwan, Nepal. The first portion of today's show is with Basu Badari, a naturalist guide and bird expert. Basu was born in the area that is now Chitwan National Park and was translocated to the surrounding community forest when the park was established. To say he knows the area's wildlife is an understatement. We caught Basu right after he interviewed with the BBC to explain how the country's wildfires were devastating bird numbers. Basu holds nothing back in our conversation, and we learned a ton from him. All right, here we go.
I'm Basu Badari, nature guide and past president of Bird Education Society. I'm a special bird guide.
Yeah, so I think it would be great to maybe give a little background about birds and how biodiverse it is in the park, like maybe how many species and then maybe any big challenges for birds here.
Actually, there is no study about the inside the Chitwan National Park, but we're saying 450 species of birds inside the Chitwan Park. But we have published the books in 2015, and we have recorded at the time 631 species. But every year the number is adding. So now the species of Chitwan Valley is 643 species of the park. And there is many globally threatened species and vulnerable species. There is a 168 species are nationally threatened species all over the Nepal. but we have more than 60% of species you can find in lowland or in Chitwan. And there is a 43 species. Birds are globally threatened species in Nepal, but you can find 31 species in Chitwan. But the number are declining. There is big challenge. Just now we can talk about the fire. Just I gave interview few hour ago for the BBC.
Really?
Yeah. And what is the problem with the fire? I say most of the nest is burned. This is many birds are summer migratory and winter migratory. The birds who comes in summer migratory, they breed here and they nesting here. And after giving a birth or has eggs, they go back to their country with the chicks. But in winter we have more than 150 to 180 species are winter migratory birds, and most of the species are ducks. And they migrated from north. They fly over the mountains. Many birds come from Siberia or Sri Lanka, and some geese, like barred geese, gharial geese, they comes from the Australia. They fly over top of the mountains.
Amazing.
Yeah, like the record is 950-meter height.
That's crazy.
Geese, and they come here, but they don't breed here. But few years back, like I think 2 decades ago, Rudi Shaldak, still you can see the ducks here. They are slowly going back, and they have given the birth in Gokyu Lake, which is the highest lake of Nepal.
It's in Everest region.
Everest area. After that, nobody have recorded it. That's the winter migratory birds. In summer, we have many birds comes from the south. Mainly, they use the Indian highway, like Indian path. And most of the birds, the chicks here. They give a birth here. But mainly grassland birds, they breed here. And many globally threatened species birds, they are already arrived. They have already nested, but this year's it's a lot of forest fire. And many nests have been burned.
Oh no.
That's a big challenge. And we cannot control it. It's everywhere this year's a lot of burns because since long time it's no rain here.
I would love to learn more, especially since this is a topic, something that you're really concerned about. Why exactly all the fires in the park? And it sounds like it's affecting the grassland birds quite a bit. So what's the alternative to stopping fires? What do you think?
There is no any alternate to stop the fire. But the one thing is that the concept of the park, you can see the fire line. We call them fire line. It is burns this side cannot come. The road, they made the fire line road. But still there is a lot of mammals is died, like pythons, lizards, a lot of things. There are so many living creatures there, so they die. But the active animals can cross the other side. But this is not a good idea to burn the jungle. And still we don't know who do it. People say, army says, elephant driver. It's done by elephant driver because they need grass. But they burn particle area. The jungle will burn till the May or June. Now the grassland is burning. Slowly riverine forest will burn. And after that the salt forest start to burn. The jungle is always burned part to part in this area. But the other area like community forest, there is not different types of forest. It burns once. That area is big problem. The fire is big problem for the birds because it's the nesting time. That's why the number is declining. Sometimes if their chicks is died, if the egg is spoiled or burn it or hit it, second time some birds they do it again. But some birds, once they hatch the eggs, they don't do again. Even they got disturbed, they don't do again, like vultures and some other birds.
That makes sense, because I'm sure those eggs are very hard on the female to generate and lay. Those bigger birds. So if humans weren't burning the forest, would it naturally be burning?
Naturally burns too. In the sulfur area, there is many bamboo tree. Many bamboo tree. When there is wind comes. By the wind, each fire comes. The bamboo is rods, and the fire will come from there. Some is natural fire too. The grassland is burned by the some people, especially elephant driver, I can say, because they need a grass for elephant. That's if you burn control fire, it's no harm. But if you do uncontrolled fire, it's big harm. Like yesterday, this corridor, yesterday is burned a lot. I think many animals or birds has died. And the problem is there grassland. Government are not doing anything. Grazing and the lowland grassland, they like short grass, like catching this grass. It's called Imperata cylindrica. Those kinds of grass, they like it. But now the grass is high and people, after that, they burn it. And still we haven't seen any nest of the vultures. The vultures are very declining very rapidly because of pesticide. Yeah, they use diclofenac. The diclofenac used by local people. When your cow or buffalo is sick, when they have fever, they bring diclofenac and they inject. If they die, they live in the river, or they throw in the open area nearby the jungle. And the vultures came and feed. After they eat that carcass, they die because kidneys fail. Nowadays, government, Nepal government, India government, they said diclofenac is closed. They closed the company. Now meloxicam is started. After 2018 to now, the number is sustained.
So that's good. So it's
Yeah,
stable.
it's stable. Yeah, not rapidly going up,
Yeah.
but not down. But most of the birds in Nepal who are in critical endangered, they will decline very soon. Like 10 years ago, we used to see many birds, like common species. They became vulnerable. Now they became a threatened species because nobody are preserving it. Only some project like BirdLife International. And there is a Bird Conservation Nepal and Nepal Ornithologist Union, in Chitwan Bird Education Society and Nature Guide, because we are directly involved with the tourists. That's why we like birds and mammals. Because if there is no birds, if there is no mammals, tourists will not come. If tourists will not come, we will not get any benefits. And these kinds of things we give the education for the schools and even in the farmers. And another reason the birds are declining, the number is declining than the species. For example, 2 years ago we counted over 12,000 birds here. But this year's only 10,000. Everywhere, every parts of Nepal, the birds is declining. We count every winter, we count the birds. We call them mid-winter bird counts all over the Nepal. All the national park and some buffer zone area, some IBA, IBA, important bird area, IBA. And those area we count. But the number is declining because of habitat loss. The big problem is habitat loss. And there is poaching too.
Oh, really? Of birds as well?
Here in Chitwan, not much. But west parts of Chitwan, or if you go to mountainside, people hunt. People kill for the meat. Still they do. Because there is not enough education for the local peoples. And they think why we need the birds. They don't have education. So in Chitwan, I'm a guide. I'm doing as a guide since last 32 years.
Wow.
And when we started guide, and we thought, why not we give awareness program for the local peoples, and we work with the BirdLife International.
I think I have.
Yeah, BirdLife International, and with them we have a 24 green club in Chitwan. We aware the children. So we go to the school and give education about the birds, why birds is important. But nowadays, slowly we have changed. And now we're giving program birds and mammals. Little bit mammals about the big mammals like rhino, elephant, tigers. And we're focusing for the children's.
How long has your organization been focusing on the children's side?
This is started about 20 years, but in the middle 12 years we did not work because the mouse problem. We cannot go to the different places. We cannot gather the student. We cannot go together. But again, when there is no problem with the mouse, again we started. Since last 5 6 or so, we regularly have program. This program will be continued.
So we're now just waiting to see, like, as they get older,
Yeah.
to reap the benefits.
We don't harm their teaching for educations. We go to Friday, and Friday from 10 to 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock they have class, and from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 2 hours, 1 hour, we give a program for them.
Friday afternoon, that sounds like a fun program to end the school week.
It's good because teachers are calling us because there is a school leaving certificate examination in Nepal. It's very hard, and nowadays there is question about the birds and mammals now.
Wow.
So that is why now the teachers are more focusing us than us. We they say, oh, come and teach us about and we explain about the big five mammals and like endemic birds of Nepal, globally threatened species of birds, and about the pheasants, and they're happy.
So obviously you love this subject and you're very passionate about it. How do you keep going? It sounds like this is a pretty uphill battle for you.
Yeah, it is. This is very good question. Yeah, but because we love in nature, we born in here. We love it. We're passions. This is our hobby too. Like if you see one species somewhere, we go there to see it, to make our numbers. But it's very difficult how we can control for the birds, especially like the birds are declining. I told you because of the inside the park, the lake is dry. There is not enough food, and another reason there is not good management of grassland and poaching. These are the major problems. And another, in grassland there is a problem with the exotic plants, different types of plants. It comes and they fill all the grasslands. Before the grassland was more than 13%. Now only 7%, 7.5%.
Wow.
There is many invasive plant, and the birds cannot breed there. Birds cannot make a nest there with the invasive plants. We always complain to the government because we love the jungle, we love the nature, we love the birds. We say to the government, we can make a grassland management, and there is enough water came from the south of the hill. You can put that water into the lake. The lake is drying. Before you can see big lake, now the lake is very small. The lake is very important for the mammals or the birds, and for any living creatures they need water. Water is very important. But the government, we don't have sustainable government. We talk with the one government, and when they start to talk after 6 months, another government. For example, maybe you heard or not, it's like a jokes. The first minister, when he explain, we go very hardly to find the minister with a 1 month, 2 month appointment. After 2 months, we explain this and that. He thinks, oh yeah, we must do it, this and that. After 3 months, when the paper is ready, then another government comes. This is the major problem in Nepal.
Hard to get anything done with anybody.
Yeah.
It's constantly flipping.
Like in Chitwan, they can talk with us about the birds. They talk about the mammals. What is the problem? Because every day we go in the park. Actually, I was born in the park. I'm shifted here 60 years ago. Translocated.
Not during the translocation program.
So since like with this audience that we currently have, when this goes out, is there anything that anybody abroad can do to help the birds here?
Yeah, there is some organization. They help us. Like before I told you, BirdLife International, they're funding us. And we don't need a lot of money. Oriental Bird Club, they do, and now Himalayan Nature. Himalayan Nature in Kathmandu. Summer migratory birds, nobody count in Nepal, but we do count in Chitwan. It's only we started from 5 years, and 5 or 6 years we started nest counting.
We just count the nest in the specific sites where lots of birds nest around there.
So you're really in tune with
Yeah.
how they've declined.
Yeah. We count the birds. By that way, we can find the number is declining or not.
Almost every year. Now we are counting the nest of open-bill
Open bill storks.
storks
And
because they breed in the colony. So that makes easy to count them also.
That's convenient.
last years we found 387 nests, and most of the nests are active. 2 to 4 chicks, and there was 3, 4 chicks each nest. But this year they changed the nesting colony. I don't know why.
No, we haven't found it yet.
No, we found it, but different places. If they got disturbance or maybe hunting, they change. Because they're feeding in the farmland, and they always make a nesting near the farmland.
So do you have any hope for the future?
Yeah, we are hoping. We cross our finger. But it's getting better and better. But I don't know. The point is when.
Well, that's great. I mean,
Thank you very much for choosing me.
if you're anything like me, you're probably saying to yourself, sure, Brooke, this is great and all, but where's the science behind all of this? Great question, my friend. Here it is. Next, we meet with Dr. Babu Ram and Dr. Amir Sadullah, easily two of the smartest people I've ever met. Dr. Babu is a wildlife researcher with a crazy number of publications under his belt and definitely a tiger and Nepali wildlife expert. Dr. Amir is one of the only wildlife veterinarians in the country and responds to an insanely wide range of calls, from capturing problem animals for relocation, treating sick and injured animals, to developing disease management protocols for captive elephants. These guys do it all for wildlife conservation and management. They both work for NTNC, the National Trust for Nature Conservation, which you heard both Sam and Jack mention in their episodes. First, you'll hear from Dr. Babu Ram explain what NTNC does and the fascinating projects they're working on. Dr. Amir chimes in a few minutes later to elaborate on some projects he heads and the type of work he does. My inner scientist was geeking out so hard during this interview, and I'm sure yours will too.
So NTNC is an autonomous organization formed by Legislative Act of Nepal. So it is kind of affiliated with government but runs autonomously. So we have a special position working in wildlife and nature conservation work. So NTNC is actively working in different areas. Geographically, we are in mountains. We are managing 3 conservation areas.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So in Annapurna, Manaslu and Gauri Shankar, so these are the 3 conservation areas in the mountains that NTNC do the overall management. The government has given the work for management. And in Tarai, we have set up like this biodiversity conservation center in Chitwan, Bardia conservation program in Bardia, and Suklaphata conservation program in Suklaphata in western Nepal. So from this base, we have wildlife research monitoring activities component, especially quite strong in this biodiversity conservation in Chitwan. And then we also work with communities to convince them or to bring them in conservation. So they are supportive towards conservation. So our activities are sometimes awareness, sometimes some livelihood activities, alternative, which doesn't need like a dependency on forest. So yeah, we have both nature conservation work in the forest and some activities in the people side also to convince them to conserve the nature. So we're working both sides, from the both sides.
That's awesome. What do you specifically do?
I'm a biologist, and my research interests mostly on human-wildlife interaction and the wildlife ecology. So primarily in Tarai region. And most of my work is in Chitwan and around. Yeah, and currently I'm also managing this center. So working as in charge of biodiversity conservation.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's really nice here.
Yeah. So we have some exciting projects we have recently started. One, we have already colored 2 tigers,
Really?
and we are looking at how this tiger movement is affected by the road infrastructure. Yeah? So this linear infrastructure, especially roads, and we have one in Parsa and one other in Bardia. And these tigers at the locations where these roads are either passing through the park or at the edge of the park, and we are getting quite interesting data that tigers are trying to, moving towards road and then return back when they reach to the road. So clearly you can see where is road even without map. So if you plot the tiger movement locations, and you can imagine like road should go that way. So you can see like that. It's quite interesting. Then we are also supporting on this coloring of fishing cat.
Oh,
That's
really?
another. Actually, Dave was suggesting maybe with you to send the scholars. Yeah.
They didn't get here in time.
So I think Alex is bringing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How'd you choose the tigers to color? Which ones?
Basically, it's a location where it's close to the road, and chances that tiger go close to the road. So and then we see how it responds when it goes close to the road. And also with color, we also have street tags. These tags, when the color come in contact with these tags, then it take more frequent location. So and then on the close to the road, we have like very close every 15-minute location, so we know exactly where this tiger moves. We are also trying that. This is a new trial, so interesting to see how this tiger moves along the parallel to the road. So it doesn't cross, but it goes along the road and then goes to the other area. So, and we do a lot of camera trapping work. So in Badari, in mountains also. Recently, the Annapurna Conservation Area project, they completed a survey of snow leopards in
Oh, really?
the Manang Valley. That's one of the.
What'd they find?
They are still analyzing the data. So
Oh, okay,
but
okay.
they got very good number of like snow leopard captures. And in some places, they found both snow leopard and common leopard in one location.
Really? So does that mean that the common leopard was going that far high in altitude? Or the other way around, the snow leopard was going that far down?
Yeah, it's both way. I think both are coming to that location. So it's interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and yeah, it's quite interesting. And also here we have other research activities to do with the camera traps, with the tigers from here to Banke area. And Sam, you brought some cameras.
Yeah, we did.
Sam, yeah? So Sam is interested to work on that area, so between Chitwan and Banke, this for entire landscape. So we also found tigers in that area, like almost like proper 50 kilometers from Chitwan, and then almost 100 kilometers from Banke area. So in the between that.
Is that I would imagine that's a good thing because that means they're moving back and forth.
That's what we imagine. So assume. So we need evidence that they are coming from here to there or from where. So we are trying to get some scat samples, DNA, and then see if these tigers are coming from Chitwan or from Banke or elsewhere. Could be from India also, because the Indian part, although there are no forest direct connectivity, there are rivers that are connecting this forest and the park in Indian side. So sometimes these tigers are quite tricky. They can move through the settlement. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, so we need some evidence of that. So for that we are trying to get some scat samples.
I imagine that's pretty hard.
Yeah, very difficult.
Just to find this cat.
We found pug marks in various locations, but still we are trying to get some scat samples.
Where do you even start on that? Because I mean, just driving along, that's such a massive area.
No, that's why we first went to all these areas, survey these river beds and others to see the tiger sign pug mark. Pug mark is easy or more or less detectable. And then once you find a tiger pug mark, then you can locate the area where you should focus for searching for the scats. Then you look on that area, follow the tracks, and where they are.
So do you have a genetics lab here? Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
We can do PCR here. After PCR, we need to send samples like a PCR product to somewhere to get like sequence data,
Mm.
and then we can compare with the population here and the other. So, but that's basically most of the other labs also do the PCR first and then send the samples for sequencing
For like identifying who it is.
and where it comes from.
Mm.
So we have samples from Chitwan, we have samples from Badari, so we can compare whether this tiger is closely related with the Chitwan tigers or Badari tigers.
Oh, that's so cool. My biologist side is geeking out right now. I just have so many questions. Oh, that's awesome.
And with this color tiger, we are also trying to get more information where it goes, where it makes kills, why this tiger goes to that particular area, not to the other. So these kind of things are also we are trying to understand.
After talking with Jack and Bardia, I was very curious to ask Dr. Babu how he felt about the Doubling Tiger campaign and if the increase in tiger numbers has affected conflict in the area. He was happy to answer my questions, and we dove deep into tiger numbers and how Bardia and Chitwan National Parks compare. So what are your thoughts on that? Has it been good doubling the tigers? Because what we were told, I think yesterday, tiger numbers have actually dropped pretty significantly from 2013 to 2018.
No,
in Chitwan?
Yeah. So its density is similar. It's not much change. Only the number, the population estimate has gone a little bit down. It's also the methods that we use. It's because of that, I think. And the estimate we got this time is more rigorous or more accurate, we believe, than the previous one. So the previous time we had like a large margin. And this time we got better estimate of that, I will say. And the density is similar. So if you look at density, I think 3.8 in 2013 and 3.6 in 2018. So it's not much change.
Okay.
But in Bardia it's increased a lot, and the density also. So the problem with the tigers, maybe there are killings, conflict is there, but conflict is related with individual tigers. What we found in Chitwan, and I think also in Bardia, because it's not all tiger population they are involved, but it's a particular group or particular individuals that are involved in incidents, accidents, I say.
I like that. Is it like a territorial thing, or what are you seeing?
In a way, territorial thing, because sometimes these tigers fight with each other, and then some are injured, and those who are injured or weak and displaced from their territory are more chances to be involved in conflict. And it's quite interesting in Bardia that there are multiple tigers in same location. So in our conventional thinking, there should not be two male in one place, but we are finding two males in one place, many females in one place, quite overlapping with each other. And that we find in Parsa also. Parsa is a low density area where from the camera trap, like 15-day camera trap, so like this territory of one tiger falls entirely in other tiger in some places. The place where we cover this tiger, we heard there is only one male, and it's covering his area so well. And in camera we see another male also there. So it's quite interesting that tigers are territorial if they find each other, but with this kind of thick vegetation area, I think they can easily hide with each other, or they can, like, although they are in the same location temporarily or the time, they can adjust with each other, I think. So and some places, like while they were trying to capture tiger in Bardia, within this small area where they enclose with this white cloth, with 2 tigers were there. 3 tigers.
3?
Last time there were 3 tigers. 10 days ago I was in Bardia to capture a tiger. We were just following one tiger. There was 2 male one bigger male and one other small male.
Really?
Same,
Together?
yeah, together. Just 50 meters apart, they were together.
Did that blow your mind?
Yeah.
Like, that's blowing my mind.
Yeah,
was
that's
very-
why we think we need some detailed study there, and also in other areas. And not only like coloring 1 or 2 tigers, with let's say 3 or 4 or 5 tigers which are in the same location. If we see their movement, how they go with each other, and whether they meet with each other or not, and then even while after coloring this tiger, they went with BHF tracking, and they saw 2 tigers feeding in the same carcass together. So
What?
yeah.
Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that there's, enough prey that they don't have to stress for fighting, or the fact that, like, maybe because the numbers are going up but the land isn't increasing, that they're just learning to coexist? Do you?
Yeah, it's I think both way. One is the Bardia has abundant prey, so they don't need to fight with each other for prey because they can easily find enough prey. But still, the prey is quite small. Spotted deer, which is size of like 1/3 of the tiger. Tigers are built to kill like 2 times of their size. Yeah, like they are 150 kilos, 200 kilos. Yeah. Maybe you are used with pounds, yeah?
Oh, that's good.
And this particular deer is 50. So you can imagine, it's just a small.
Small snack.
Yeah.
It's like, next one.
But there are plenty. And there's some sambar, very less, and swan deer, but I think not significant. Wild boar, little bit. But still abundant prey, maybe because of that. And prey is concentrated in that Cornally floodplain area, and tigers are also concentrated there. So if you go a little bit farther away, then very, very few tiger signs and tiger number is also less. So it's where the prey, the tiger follows. So, yeah, very interesting stuff.
Kind of questions, at least all of my past knowledge about the social structure of tigers.
Yeah.
Because, everything is like, they're so solitary and violent when they meet each other, but it sounds like that's not what's unfolding in Bardia. Are you seeing similar things here, or?
Yeah, in Chitwan also we have found in one location 4-5 tigers are like we got in photograph. In the same camera station in 15 days, 5 tigers are coming. Like 3 or 4 females, one male, sometimes 2 male. In same location, yeah. Tigers and leopards coming in the same location, sometimes same night.
Really?
Yeah, so many things. Yeah, but maybe Jack talked a lot about this trade and thing. Yeah, like tiger and leopard killing and others.
Yeah, we talked a lot, mostly about human-wildlife conflict.
Yeah.
Because it was, so our last day there, that was when the recent attack on the man happened, which he survived. And then, of course, it was just nonstop about the woman that was killed a couple weeks before we arrived. And that's why we couldn't do like walking safaris and stuff.
Yeah, the day when I reached there, the tiger killed one woman inside the park. Then
When you got there?
Yeah, we got there. We try and next day we captured one tiger just other side of the river.
Since you know the wildlife so well, in your opinion, how is, because we experienced it, so I'd really love to hear your take on it, like how Jeep safaris and the tourism sector is affecting wildlife.
I think it's both ways. It's supporting and affecting. So one is to convince people that conservation is beneficial. They don't look at indirect values. Like we know there's immense indirect values or importance for our long-term sustainable existence also. But people look at how much you get from there. Yeah?
The
Immediate, direct. So from tourism, they see that you can get a lot of direct benefit also. Yeah, in some places it's a little bit crowded, but I don't think it's actually affecting any population of wildlife or so. Still, the tourism activities are limited in certain areas only, and it may affect on certain behavior of animals because daytime there is a lot of jeeps going and then disturbing, of course, in some way. But I don't think it is actually affecting overall population. So yeah, we need a balance.
Yeah, because we talked a lot with Jack. So we met with Jack Kinross over in Bardia, and he talked a lot about tourism and like
cortisol levels
heightened
and-
cortisol levels and tigers that they've started to find.
That's what we are trying to measure actually in this Perth area where we have radio collar tiger.
Oh yeah.
And then we were trying to set up one project to collect fresh scat samples, and from there we can measure the stress level. Yeah. So we did that for elephants. Amir. So he actually was conducting this study of stress on the elephants.
Yeah.
Oh, could you talk more about that?
Sure.
Yeah, like we recently have done a study on a corticosteroid level on the elephant. Basically, our focus was how the human and elephant interaction affect the elephant. Like we know that on a conflict, it's an impact on the human side. Also, we want to look how the elephant are interacting when it come close to the human beings. For that, we collected the fresh fecal sample from forest, and we categorized elephant into three parts. Like it's very small. We have done a very small research. Only the sample size was around 90, and we divided our group on three parts. One is the elephant reside in the core forest, one in a fringe area, and one regularly visiting to the buffer zone. And we collected the fecal and we calculated the level of corticosteroid. We have found that though our research is very small, and we came to know that the elephant which is regularly visiting to the buffer zone and coming in interaction with the human and getting a easy food, like in buffer zone they can get a good nutritious carbohydrate like food grains and these things. They are comparatively less in stress compared to the core. But we need to replicate this research in more of in a big sample size. Then only we can finalize.
Really
conclude. And
well, that has some big implications for human-wildlife conflict.
Yeah. So I think only coming close to the human, some noise from human is not
not a big.
giving stress to the animals, but with elephants, that's the case. With tigers, we are trying to explore how their level of stress changes when they come close to the roads. So we're trying to collect like scat samples very close to the roads and then further away, and then see if there is some changes. So that's what we're trying to do. And with this, if we get some from there, of course, that will be useful for the tourism areas also. But looking at frequent sighting of tigers on the roads, and then not much stress when they see the jeeps or others, or they are doing their normal behavior. So it seems they are quite adapting with this. But we need to measure it.
Even the things are we might to rethink our idea. Is probably the food is the major cause of stress in a wildlife. Like if the food is easily available and they do not have to move a lot, then there might be less stress comparative to the interaction to the human and these things. So we need to figure out our research, our focus on like human interaction as well as on the food aspect also.
So are you planning then like a prey density study after the tiger collaring, or in conjunction with, or?
Yeah, we have that plan also. One is we are trying to get some estimates from the camera trap data also.
Oh, okay.
How frequently prey are photographed in the camera traps and then like that. And another is we also do periodic survey of prey base. So in whole landscape we will do next year along with tiger survey. So tiger survey, it's a program from the Department of National Park, but NTNC is technically giving the backup for the survey. And then while we are doing the survey of the tigers, we also survey the prey base. So then we
makes sense.
Awesome. If you'd like to learn more about Babu or Amir's work, I've provided links to their stuff in the show notes at rewildology.com. Next, we're moving outside of the national park and into the community forest. If you've never heard of a community forest before, these are the second rings of land surrounding the national parks of Nepal. The inner core is the federally managed national park, wrapped by a buffer zone, which is also highly regulated. Then outside of the buffer zone are community forests and are fully managed by local people. Chitwan National Park has 25 community forests, and we met with the president of the area's famous Bagmara community forest. We learned a ton from Jeet Tamang about the community forest's role in conservation and how it helps alleviate poverty. While we thought Jeet's English was perfectly fine, there were a few moments he needed translation from good friend and naturalist guide Vishnu Rimal. You'll hear both throughout this conversation. All right, here is my chat with Jeet.
So first of all, I'd like to introduce this community forest. Okay, this is one of the famous community forests in Nepal about conservation, and also the income source of community forest is very high than other community forest. This is established when the buffer zone was established. At that time, same time, this community forest also established 1995.
So was this one of the first community forests then that was established in Nepal?
In Chitwan.
In Chitwan.
In
Okay,
Chitwan.
so there's multiple community forests in Chitwan.
Yes, we have around 25 community forests.
Okay.
Among them, this one is more famous community forest of Chitwan, also in Nepal, because of the conservation and ecotourism is high here. I like to tell you that the Bagmara, Bag means tiger, Mara means killed. It was 40 years ago, this place was hunting reserve for royal family and other people. They used to come here and killing rhino, tiger, and that's why the name came from Bagmara.
Killing the animals here. I mean, especially the tiger.
That's the ultimate trophy.
And also I was working before in Tiger Conservation Subcommittee, which we had before, which is a community-based organization. I was president there 3 years. It was. So our main focusing is just for awareness program. Educate the local people why we have to preserve the tiger, what is the value of tiger, like this types of awareness program. We have here two types of community forests in Nepal. One is buffer zone community forest, which is under the national park. And another one is only community forest. And local people, they are very happy to manage, the community forest.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So even this forest, it was almost finished. He told you that already. And the land also, the land of this community forest was,
Registered by the person.
people,
The whole area
they
of forest.
it
was like
mafia, mafia, like land mafia. They made their personal property.
Wow.
Yeah, almost all. And all local community people, they fight them. They chasing, they making fire of them.
They have planted the crops all the way on this part of area. And all the villagers, they release their animals to graze in the field,
Like the mafias.
Yeah.
To chase away the mafias.
That river, yesterday you did canoe. There was no any crocodile.
No even single crocodile was there.
Not even the munger?
No even the mugger.
When we preserve the community forest, slowly, now we have 150 we count. Yeah, you can see a lot of wildlife here. And benefit of community forest, actually we use money, first of all, for conservation, to manage the wetland, grassland, animals. And second part, we spend for education, and also we develop some community development program, put there also some money. And now this time we seriously involving we managing that human and wildlife conflict.
Do you have quite a bit of it in your community forest?
Now this time, crop damage is one of the high problem in this area. So nowadays we are investing the money to develop concrete wall. You've seen that already.
Yeah.
So we finished already 2 kilometers. So 50% more we are going to build this year. We are going to build that in this year.
And with the 50% you have you seen a decrease in wildlife coming into the community?
Yeah, there is, still 50% place we have to. So from that place, they are entering in the village. So now we are going to build. So still we have some electric fence there. We have still electric fence that is also working. But for a small animal, deer, wild boar, like that animals, they easily, crossing that electric fence. So only for big animal like rhino and wild elephant, the electric fence is working. But for small animals, the electric fence doesn't work properly. So we have to make concrete wall. So this is what we are doing now. And also the crop damage, we are giving compensation for the local people. We have here per gotthas, how we call per biga.
338 square meter.
Square kilometer.
Square meter is equal to 1 gattha.
1 gattha. So 3,000 rupees per gattha.
That means if any crops are damaged in the field, so that is about 338 square meter of area is damaged. They have compensation.
3,000 per gattha.
3,000 rupees.
Per gattha. We are giving.
It's like for 338 square kilometer of area.
And where does the funding come from? Is it mainly tourism?
From tourism. 99% income is from tourism. We don't have other income source. All from this ecotourism. So our challenges is human wildlife conflict is one of the major and sustainable source of income to manage it, especially for the poor people. This forest is established already 20 years it is. So the forest established to develop human, the poor people to develop their education.
The poverty.
That is main aim of this community forest.
To eradicate poverty.
Still we are not still success of all these things to do. So we are thinking about we have to change some 2 million rupees per year our income of this community.
30 million rupees?
Yes.
30 million.
Yeah. 30 million rupees.
Yeah. And around among that money, 30% goes for conservation and 30% goes for development. And 10% for human wildlife conflict, 10% for education. Like this, we have a funding this money. So now this time we are seriously thinking about this, how to develop these poor people who are depend on this jungle. Still we have a lot of people entering in this forest to harvest the grass and collect firewood.
Natural sources.
We developing school building and also we are giving some scholarship for the poor family. And also we providing some cooking stoves for poor people who are depend on
cooking stove. Who are not able to manage the gas stoves.
Actually, talk about that a little bit more because I've heard of a lot and have seen a lot of conservation programs where that's what they've done is they've funded villages and as a way to avoid conflict going into forest and harvesting anything. And so if they need firewood
Yeah.
to cook food, then giving something that doesn't use firewood, then hopefully will reduce conflict. Is that
Still it is used with the forest sources, but
kind of the same
What
thing?
kind of eco-stove we are giving to?
it can consume very small amount of.
Oh, so just
yes.
use less.
Yes.
Use less. Let's say if you use the fire, maybe once you use the wood, it can help you to cook the food more than 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 days?
Yeah.
We just 1 month ago we distribute 40 households.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to visit that village at 5 o'clock, please you are welcome. I will show
Wow.
you that place. That is very, very poor family, poor people, which we call Musar. Musar family, 40 household. So just 1 month ago we distribute them.
Wow.
This way we are working. The people I told you that Musar is one of the caste, very poor lower caste of Nepal.
Mm.
They are all depend on fishing and they are depend on jungle totally. Still they are depending on nature.
Mm.
They eating snail and lizard and fishing fish like this. Their main food. So we are working for them. We spending a lot of money to develop their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So we build house for them also.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is your role, so it sounds like you have your own business then. Is this voluntary?
This is voluntary, fully voluntary.
Wow.
5 years. So I have 1.5 years already gone. Still 3.5 years I have time to spend here.
Oh, wonderful. So presidencies last 5 years.
Yes.
Wow. Are you liking it? Is it fun? Lots of stress?
Yeah.
Also, a pandemic happens when you become president.
You want to go to visit our wetland and grassland management?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
There's a very important topic that hasn't been touched on thus far in this series, and thankfully our next guest is going to explain it in detail. Poaching. Worldwide, many species of animals are illegally killed for several reasons, the biggest of which is the illegal wildlife trade. In this portion of the episode, I'm chatting with Vishnu Thapa, who is the president of the community-based anti-poaching unit and a naturalist guide. He is well in tune with the poaching situation in and around Chitwan and shares his knowledge with us.
So I'm the president of anti-poaching. It was before anti-poaching, so now it has been changed the name, and that known as a CBAPU, Community-Based Anti-Poaching Unit. I am also the guide. I work also nature guides, and then I'm the past president of the nature guide associations as well. So I run the one-time nature guide associations also. And after that, I like to connect with the conservations. So we have here the unit. There is a 9 unit in the local village. So from the one of the unit, I come through that units. So there is 9 executive members of the every different units. So that's I'm the number 5 units. So I come here, and after that we have elected also. So I am interested to work the conservation. So I'm in here. I'm with the anti-poachings.
Awesome. If you wanted to talk a little bit more about poaching, because we haven't had a chance to talk about that, like the issue of poaching and why it's happening and how we're mitigating it.
Well, we have here, of course, in poaching, especially the rhinos. Rhinos, there is illegal poaching. The people's hunt for the horns. We don't know the people. Some people they believe it's kind of medicines, but I don't believe that. But it's only for the horn, the people's poaching, especially morely we have a record in rhinos, especially. In this year also the happened poaching some of rhinos, like 4 naturally dead. In this year, 24 rhinos died. 4 rhinos died from the poaching, and the rest of the some things is naturally dead. In poacher, normally we have here the poor peoples, and indigenous peoples, poor peoples who have a lack of the monies, a lack of opportunity, like a working opportunity. So those peoples, they hunt the rhinos because rich men who have money and who want the horns or some things that those people use for the local peoples. So and those peoples go and in the jungles and they hunt illegally. Around in this area, in our place, there is very less poaching, very less because of the we have here a lot of opportunities, especially in the tourism opportunities. The people do the guidings and they have awareness also. They know about the animals and wildlife, so very less here. Sometimes it happen, but in very less. But if you go in the remote places like west part of the national parks, there is some of mostly record from there. There is happen poaching a lot of, especially in the rhinos. Other things, tigers or other animals, wild elephants, it's very less record. But mostly here is a rhino. It's happened poaching in here. And that is also the lack of education's awareness also. And we are not successful. What is the importance of the wildlife? We are not successfully the awareness for them. And the local peoples, they go and they hunt because they just look the monies. They don't know what is the rhinos and what is the importance of rhinos. So that's why the anti-poaching are established for the communication with the humans, public and the parks. So we are a mediator also. We do a lot of things there. We go to the schools and we give the awareness, a quiz contest, theme seminars about the wildlife. We only the focus in the wildlife, and we make their quiz contest also then for the students, and also the interactions of the wildlife, and we give the some class of the what is the wildlife and their habitat and the importance of the wildlife. We go. We are starting to especially focusing in the schools because the graduate men they understand but they don't care. But the children, if we focus for the childrens, so they understand and also that they care about that things. So we focusing in the schools. And we used to work there guarding also every month is possible. In month twice a time or 3 times we go the guarding like in the jungles, go by walkings, and sometimes we go in the bicycling. So we do the guard. So we saw the documentary also. Yes, a documentary because people, if you see people and they understand, so we make the documentary also. And informations we do from the village and our executive bodies and our members. They give the informations if happen anything, like if animals go in the village, either people do any illegal things. So we just informations the national parks because we don't have authorized to the control everything. So we just give the information for the national parks. So also we do, and we do the mediator also. There is some national parks, they provide if any crops or anything, any houses, anything's destroyed, the national park, they give the compensations. So we do the mediator also if happen anything. So we inform the national parks and then what is the like destroy, what is destroy, or how many things are the destroy. So we just give the informations. And the national park, they come and they just valuation, and then after that, they give the contribution also. And we do, yes, there is sometime we collect parents also, and we just make the seminar. It's like a seminars, give the awareness programs about the wildlife and their habitats and what is the importance of the wildlife. It's like this. That's we do from the CBFU. We can do like this.
Have you ever been in conflict with a poacher?
Yeah, sometime it's happened sometime, and not like a big, but yeah, in the village, people looks and he's like a CIA, CID or some things, and they are misbehaviors, some things like this happen. It's a risk, not killed by the poachers, but it's a risk. Sometimes it happen, mouth to mouth discussion, some things. They ask why do you like this? What is for you for fit? We do like this. Some things it's happened. It's a risk also, and we have also the transportation problems because we have here RRT also. It's under control by the CBAP. The RRT, it means Rapid Response Team. We have 5 people that if happen anything, so we have to go suddenly in on the spots. It's happened some problems if any animals kill the peoples, either any animals give the problems. So we have here RRT. It's a rapid response team. So they are having problems also the transportation because sometimes it's very far. So to go in immediately, it's transportation also problems.
So, in both of your combined years of working in this field, what do you think is the solution?
The tourism was one of the best way to control the poaching, because if there is a tourist used to travel in the natural habitat to amuse with the wildlife, and that helps to control the poaching. It's far better than the other process, no? And also it need to distribute surrounded by the park, because somehow people they start to get benefit from the tourism, no? So that also helps to control the poverty, and also if the poverties are controlled itself, the poaching also controlled.
So, have you seen an increase in poaching with COVID?
Yeah, at the beginning phase it was a little bit.
But now,
But
not so
now
much.
it's been, because since it started to increase the poaching, and there are about 700 nature guides were involved in the park as a guide, and they start to patrol the areas of the park each day with a different group of people in the different section. So that helps to control poaching. So
And were they doing that for free since no
yeah,
tourists
it's like
were here?
it's all like volunteering.
It's volunteers. It's just volunteers.
That just shows how much it means to them to keep the wildlife here.
We've arrived at the final interview of today's show, and one of the most moving for me. As you've heard, living with mega wildlife can be quite dangerous, and people do lose their lives. Members of the local community in Chitwan were frustrated with the government's slow response time dispersing compensation when severe conflict occurred, and so Doma Padel, her husband, her brother Raj, and neighbor Ritu Waiba founded the Wildlife Victim Fund, a nonprofit dedicated to helping families that have suffered from human-wildlife conflict. In this conversation, I'm sitting down with Ritu to learn more about the nonprofit and what happens after conflict occurs. Bishnu also helps translate this conversation, so you'll hear both Ritu and Bishnu answer our questions.
She works as a secretary of Wildlife Victim Fund. So Doma is the president of it. And actually, Doma and her husband set up the mind to establish the non-profitable organization, especially to support to the wildlife victims, actually to the family, no? Because there is some compensation from the government, but there is a very long process. And I think I have already mentioned a little bit about the relief fund from the government, which is only out from the border, and still it is long process to get the reliefs, no? So that's why right after the incident, family need some support losing the family, no? So that's the main reason to rise this organization. And actually the organization itself, I already mentioned, no? the Nepal Dynamic Ecotour. It's like a service-based company which manages the jungle safari as well as other excursion, and whatever they manage to income, the 5 to 10% of net profit goes to the wildlife victim fund.
How'd you meet Doma? Did you?
Oh, it's
We
just
are
neighbor.
very close.
Just
Oh.
neighbor.
Doma discussed about this fund from long time before we registered this fund, and after that we decide we can do something better for the community. So and we registered in government.
मैले overtake गरिरहेको छु।
That's amazing.
We talked a long time before registered this fund, and then we decide it's good for community for the first time help for the victim family. So and we decide that's okay. We can do. But just little fun. It started now.
She is also victim family. Her mother was killed by rhino.
Have you always been the secretary?
From starting to now. Yeah, I am looking the audit, accounting. That part is my so my sector is financial, so little bit difficult to this. Doma wanted to join me as a financial sector to see this fund. My
She knew you could do it.
Yeah, my subject is that one. Yeah.
So around how many families has the fund supported over the years?
5 family and 1 scholarship for the victims' children in Mardi. One children and 5 family. Everybody can join with a victim family. They can get easily a scholarship. First of all, because if they will be educated and they can do anything.
Yes.
Yeah. First one is education. That way is a victim family, but other ways we help also, like awareness program of conservation. Our president is one of the best trainer also. She is best trainer of conservation.
So how does the funding part work? So like when an incident happens, then where does the Wildlife Victim Fund come in from there?
Actually, in that case, it may not help right in the time, no? When an incident happens, so if finished, then they start going on funeral work. If we have time and if we have the budget, we can go within the period so that it can help for their funeral works, no? If not, after finishing all these works, we just support to the family. And if anyone just injured, the first priority is to reach to the hospital. And the second priority to collect the financial sources. So if the families are pretty weak, then all the villagers pretty much wishing to support 50 rupees, 100 rupees, So if everybody supports, so it can help for the treatment. And also the defense organization, mostly working on volunteer base. So we go talk to the hospital. So you should give some compensation because this sort of families. So sometimes we get 50% of discounts for the treatment, sometimes 25%. This is how it goes now.
So we actually, when we were in Bardia, we met with some children who unfortunately were orphaned because of wildlife conflict. Is there anything set up here when that happens to help kids that don't have parents after wildlife conflict?
It happens if the husbands are killed by animals, and the women may get married with other men.
Oh,
That's really
In that cases, there will be a kind of orphanage. Nobody are taking care of the kids.
really?
Yes.
So the previous children
Yeah.
might not be accepted into the new family?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
That happens.
intense. How often does that happen?
This is kind of happening now. One of family was there, and he was a mason. He used to work, but unfortunately, he had a lot of drink. Probably didn't work so well. So he was heart attack, I think, and he passed away. No? And his wife, she got married with other man, left all children in home. Nobody will take caring of the kids.
5 children.
They had 5 children.
4 girl, 1 boy.
And they were take caring of those kids. So 2 ladies got married, and still 3 left. They are living along with them.
Oh, like you?
Yeah.
You're taking care of them? Oh my God, amazing.
One youngest one girl was 1.5 year when her mother left her.
I can't
She's
fathom.
like
Oh, really? She's
taller than me now. This one. She cried all night. Mommy, 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 all night. That time.
Yeah.
Now, good dancer.
Good dancer.
You're a dancer.
Study is a little bit slow.
It's like
पर डांस से एकदम खतरा है स्मार्ट एकदम.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this very special episode with all of today's guests who work in and around Chitwan National Park. Again, if you have any means to help Nepal in the current COVID-19 situation, whether that be through financial support or by spreading awareness, anything will be much appreciated. Please visit COVID Connect Nepal to learn more. The Nepal Coexisting with Giants series was recorded in March 2021 with me, your host, Brooke Mitchell-Norman, and fellow conservationist Courtney Gonzalez. All of the stories shared are from the guest viewpoints and their first-hand experiences. A special thanks to the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund for helping to support this series through their Conservation Travel Fund and connecting us with their amazing Nepalese partners. To hear more about KACF and their founder, check out episode 2 with Dave Johnson. If you're liking the show, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss a future episode. If you're feeling super squirrely, share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it too. Sharing is the best way to help the show grow, and I couldn't do it without you. Until next time, my friends, together we will rewild the planet.